Hey guys, this is Zeddy, and finally got the pinch rollers from Slovakia again, a seller at eBay. Same person I got the belts for this Sony TC-WR701ES. You know, this guy right here. I've been working on for a while now, so you guys remember. Last I left you guys, it was working. The belts, I replaced it. Speed was a little too slow on both decks. This one was worse than this one. And the azimuth was really off, especially on this one, going the forward direction, playing back in the forward direction. Both are actually fixed to the best of my abilities. So I did what I said I was going to do to fix it. I used my known good cassette deck, a Nakamichi ZX7. You guys already know it. I have it on my previous videos. I also have the JVC TD-661, which I verified the speed, which by the way is about 12 hertz slower than the Nakamichi. But when I tested also on the RX202, my Nakamichi RX202, the RX202 actually matched the JVC deck, which to me makes me feel like the ZX7 may be a little fast. Oh well, still within tolerance. I adjusted these to be in between the ZX7 and the JVC and the RX202. So whereas the ZX7 was at 3,000 hertz or 3 kilohertz, this has been adjusted to about 2990 something hertz or so. It's going to fluctuate, especially since these pinch rollers were, well, malformed. Well, this one more so than any of these. These are actually pretty good. These are not too bad. I did an RMS a while in flutter test, and this was actually around 0.08. I don't even know what the measurement is. RMS, 0.08 RMS. So, according to Sony's specs, 0.07 RMS is what they're expecting. That's within tolerance, and so it's not that bad, really. But this one was like at 0.8, going that other way, and 0.0, I don't know, 0.0, no, still around 0.1 or so, like that, going the forward way. So forward, like I said, wasn't as bad. Going back, I have the numbers somewhere, but you know, and I'm not gonna pull it out. I'm just gonna say that it's pretty bad, to the point where I definitely need pinch rollers. All right, I'm going to pause this video for now. I just want to explain myself what I'm going to be doing today. The reason why I'm going to pause is because you guys already seen how I take this apart, so I'm not going to film that boring part. But just quickly recap, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the screws out here, pull this, take out all the cables, pull this out. Then there's going to be 2 screws up top, and there's actually 2 more screws in the bottom of this mechanism. This thing is going to come out completely. So the reason for doing that is so I can access these pinch roller arms. Maybe you'll see it better here because I don't know if you guys can see this side. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to stop it right now and at least get it to the point where this gets pulled out, and then you'll see me take that apart. So All right. So I got it to this point, and if you're wondering what I'm doing with this really long twisty tie, I'm planning on using this to remove the pinch rollers. It looks like it's pressure mounted. All right, so I'm looking for the 2 screws, and I see it here, one there, and then there's 2 over here. Let me do this side first, since you guys can see it better here. I think you can, but you probably can see the side too. I looked at the camera view, and it looks like this towel area is the entire view area for you guys. So I could be wrong, but so far I believe that is correct. So let's keep moving. So that's 1 screw. Oh, I forgot to turn on the light. There we go, a little better. If you're wondering, that's the light coming from the iPad's LED. They would call it a flash, but in reality it doesn't really flash. So oh, come on. Is that not the right size? Yes, it is. It's just tough. Let's see if we can get this side going. Oh. Why does it feel like it's been Loctite in? Oh, I don't think I finished explaining what else I did. So I already explained how I adjusted the speed, or I almost did. I'm really bad at finishing my stories, aren't I? So once I verified the tape that was recorded from the Nakamichi, I played it back on this deck. There is an applications, I guess I can link it in this video, in my description, that you can go and you hook up your deck to the line in of your sound card, and you play it back, and it actually measures, it's like a frequency counter. It tells you the frequency of the sine wave that's recording, or the tone that's recording. And it even has a wow and flutter meter that actually shows you, like what's the variance, and it kind of bounces up and down. It tells you the percentage of how steady it is. So that's how I measured it. And also I just realized I forgot to mention how I create the tone. I create the tone by using Audacity, which is another free application, and I can link it in the description. There's a lot of tools. It's basically an all-purpose recording applications. You can record audio and whatnot. That's what people use to digitize their cassettes, digitize their LP collection, But there's a lot of tools there too. For example, one of them being a tone generator. It amplifies. There's a lot of cool tools in there. Let me see if I need to. Do I need to? Is this coming out already? Do I have to open up the door? You gotta open up the door. Oh, there we go. Oh, the door is part of this. I don't want to take out the door. Great. All right. Oh boy. I guess we got to find a way to Loctite those too once we fine tune it. But there's the pinch roller. Supposedly these come out, like you can just pop these out. If I want to open a door, I guess this is the door, eject. Oh my, that's actually grease. I'm wondering if the black stuff I cleaned up from that can is actually grease. Well, maybe I should put it apart. Okay, anyways, these actually supposedly pop out, and they do. Is there a spring there? There's a spring there. Let me pop the left one in. Okay. I don't know where the spring. Let's see if I pop it back in, would the spring be fine? Okay, that's fine. So these pop out real easily. I may not even need a tool. Only problem is my hands are greasy now because of the grease that's already on there. So I'm going to need to make sure my hands are relatively grease free. So I'm going to wipe this down. See if I can pop this out at least. Otherwise, this is what this is for. I was thinking about using this underneath, go underneath the pinch roller, the old one, and then pull. And there you go. Okay, no, that was a cool tool to use. Now that I popped it out, there's the pin. There's the old pinch roller. All right. Make sure my fingers are relatively clean. That's gonna be hard to do. Least I can do is, by the way, so here's what the rollers look like. The diameter seems, not the diameter, I'm sorry, the width of this cross section right here, this newer one seems a little bit smaller. So that's kind of scary. All right, that snaps into place and it is rolling free. I use my palm here because my hands are kind of greasy. I didn't want, or my fingers are kind of greasy, but my palm isn't as greasy, so hopefully that helps. I'm trying to avoid touching that part. Trying to line this up down here. All right, that looks like that is in. I'm gonna pull this one out now. Now what I do is I put my thumb on this post here, and then I put my finger, my other finger down here, and I kind of use it to leverage to pop it out, and that helps. Can I pull it apart without the tool? I can, cool. Just requires more force. Honestly though, this is easier. So if you have the ability to do that, I say do it. All right, so here goes another pen. I'm gonna wipe my fingers again as best I can. I'm gonna have to clean them anyways once I get them in there. Just to remove any remaining contaminants. So, all right, so it's in. Oops. Get in there. Snaps right in. Seems to roll freely. All right. Back in the post it goes. See, I see a spring in there. I'm wondering what's it supposed to catch on to give it that spring. All right, well, hopefully that works. I'm gonna put it back together. Oh, now I see why I need to open this door. Because it goes underneath this. Oh. Now you can close it. So it actually goes underneath the, we call it the beauty plate. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but a lot of the cassette deck guys that I talk to, they call it the beauty plate. On the Nakamichi, I don't know, I never did a video on that, did I? I replaced the belts. And I had to pull off the beauty plate on it, and they called it the beauty plate because that's all it is. It's just to hide the mechanical parts, the idle wheel and all that stuff. And that's what I actually had to do with that one. I had to change the idle wheel. All right, so this is actually easier than I thought. All right, so it's just a matter of screwing this in. I don't remember. Oh, hold on. Oops, shit. Might be using the wrong screw. I just noticed they are different. Yeah. Okay. What I was using was a machine screw with a finer thread. This one has a coarser thread. I was going to say, whoa. It makes sense for a coarser thread for this application here because of the plastic. It's metal to plastic, so the finer threads makes more sense for more precision. I'm going to leave it a little loose, and the reason why is because I want to make sure everything is lined up and nice and straight and flush. And this will give me some play if it isn't. All right, so oh no. No. Did I? Oh, this cable, seriously. Just went on the other side. I saw it sticking out here, and I'm like, ah, crap, don't tell me I have to remove the whole thing. Thankfully I didn't. Thankfully I could just pull it out. There was no problems. So this is the right screw for this top here because it's a metal thread. So it's a machined thread, and usually machined threads have a finer pitch. Like this. I don't know if you guys can see it or not. If you're working on a deck like this, then you'll see it. All right, the reason why I left it that way was because of the door situation. You guys remember the door situation? It was not straight before, and I got it looking straight. That was before I had to take off the entire mechanism. So now I actually have to take the entire mechanism. So now I gotta realign everything. Okay. This guy likes to curve back in on itself. I'm gonna anchor this because the buttons are maybe I should remove these knobs and buttons. Okay, I'm removing them. Get out of the way. Okay, still not a flat surface, but it's better than what it was before, see? Okay, so that's one done, and the plate looks pretty straight to me, so I'm going to remove this so there's less chance of it being damaged. Now for, stop it, snagging, snagglepuss over here. Okay, so same thing, but on this side. Oh shoot, oh, okay, this is a little magnetized. You know what that means? I'm gonna have to demagnetize the heads. I know this didn't come close to it, but still, I just like being careful. I'll demagnetize the entire path, including the cap stands themselves. All right, you're getting wobbly, so I know you're getting really loose now. And this is the side that I really wanted to replace those pinch rollers because they're really bad on this one, on this deck, deck A. Ooh, do not slip. Do not want to scratch the face. Okay, come on. All right, so I do have to eject to make it easier, not make it easier, but to make it possible to even pull it out, because it was not even possible before. All right, move you back a little bit so I can get some space. All right, I'm gonna close the door so I can gain access. And this one right here is the worst one, the worst offender. So where is that bulge? Right there. I don't know if you guys can see it. I don't know if it has to be at a certain angle, but let me see if I can actually see it on here. There, right there, you can see it. What the F causes that to deform like that? And that's not an indentation, guys. That's an actual bump. So weird. And that's what's causing it to stop on leaders, because it gets stuck and it slides. The leader is just slipperier than the tape, apparently, on some tapes. So I'm going to use the tool again this time, because it was easier to use the tool. I call it a tool, but it's just this, it's just ooh, there we go. It's just a twisty tie. Oh, okay, where did it go? Oh, wait, here it goes. Careful of this pen. Can fly away from you. All right, so these are the older ones. The fact that the older ones have white hubs on them makes it easier to differentiate the new from the old, because the new one has black hubs on them. All right, so I'm wiping my hands. It is greasy. All right, so put it right through. All right, rolls free. All right, so now to put it back on. There's the post. Same for this one. Again, this one's not so bad, but it feels rock hard. It's harder than the one on deck B, which is odd. Only thing I can think of is maybe the previous owner used deck A more than deck B. Oh geez, that's a lot of grease. Ow. Well, let's see. I hope I leave enough in there for it to move, but now that I know, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to use some silicone grease and grease up the cam wheel that it's not even a cam wheel, what is that? The mode changing wheel. Because at first I thought all that black stuff was the belt, melted belt. Because when the belt melts, it can get super greasy like that. Right. All right, snap, snap. It's in. It looks good. Good. Now to wipe down my hands a little more. Okay. I'm gonna pop that in. Yikes. It's actually kind of greasy now on the sides of these pinch roller arms. Because yours truly had to handle it. Okay, where is, all right, pop the door open, go underneath the beauty plate, go on. Now I can close it, because it's on the other side. It's lined up, looks like it's lined up. And also you know that it's lined up because the door wouldn't close as easily if it wasn't lined up. So I'm gonna get these two started here. Opposite of that one, of course. I did the bottom first on those. I'm gonna do the top here first. Super loosey-goosey. Come on. Go one for mama. Sorry guys, I got hair in here too. Tell that this is kind of like where I work. Although I really shouldn't. All right, I'm gonna loosen it up a little bit so I have some play. All right. Reason why is because of that door. This is deck B, this is deck A. Is it straight? See, not really. But again, as I said in my previous video, I think the reason why this one wasn't is kind of like crooked a little bit is because when I got this from Goodwill, this door was stuck. It wouldn't open. The eject button wouldn't actually open the door. So I'm guessing either the previous owner or maybe the people who were browsing around and messing around with it was trying to get it to open, and they were forcing it, prying it or something, and probably screwed around with probably put a lot of pressure on it, knocked it out. Will that ever get fixed? I don't know. I mean, I got it close, but it will never be perfect. And that's okay. Alright, well, let's get this finished up. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys will be able to see this because it's so minor, and it depends on the angle, right? But the right side seems to be up a little higher than the left. I still don't know why that is. I don't know what I can do to fix it, short of pushing this part down a little more, which I don't want to do because I don't want to make the problem worse. Because there's really not much I can do with the screws. I mean, these are machined, so they're gonna go in exactly the way it was. There's no changing that. All right, well, I'm gonna end that video here, at least pause it here, so I can put it back together. I mean, you guys seen it on my previous video, so you guys don't need to see that part. But basically, it just goes back. It goes back in here, you know. This goes back here. This is the ground wire. This goes back over here, which I don't think you guys can see. There's a plug there, and of course there's more of these guys where the ribbon cable goes to. And that's it. Let's give it a shot after that. All right, back to my handheld self. I have the deck hooked up to my Bose speaker. It has an auxiliary in, so that's what I'm going to do. It's a Bluetooth speaker. So here we go. Sounds good to me. So, sounds pretty good. I actually listened to it with headphones too, and it sounds decent enough. But like I said, I'm gonna verify with my computer and some measuring program. Okay, that's it, guys. It's just a matter of me putting everything back together, and calling it a night. So let's do that. And of course, I forgot to mention how I actually adjusted the head. So I told you guys how I calibrated the speed, which is what I'm going to do after this since I changed the pinch rollers. To calibrate, align or calibrate the head azimuth, there's 2 screws right there. Okay, I'm going to pause this because, sorry, just had to do it that way. Oh, it actually retracts when I do that. Not good. Anyways, you'll see that there's actually 2 screws there. There's the left one and the right one. So the left screw actually adjusts the forward playback azimuth, and the right screw adjusts the reverse playback azimuth. So how do I know that I got it right, or at least close to being correct? So as you know, I already have my Nakamichi ZX7, and you know that I've used this to calibrate before I record to get like the best I can get out of the tape, right? To get the most I can. And as you remember, I have an azimuth adjust as well. It's the recording head that is adjustable, not the playback head. Whereas on the Nakamichi Dragon, it's the other way around, right? It's the playback head that adjusts, not the record head. The record head is stationary. And of course, the Dragon goes one step forward where it actually automatically adjusts it as you're playing back the cassette. So what I do is, what it does is it actually, I believe it's a high, yeah, it's a high tone, about 15 kilohertz. It records it onto the tape. Was it high tone or low? Yeah, I think it was a high tone. Yeah, it's a high tone. It records it to the tape using its fixed heads, the record heads, and the heads are adjustable. I'm sorry. The recording head actually puts the signal down, and then the playback head is obviously playing it back right away, right? Because there you go. There's the record head. There's the playback head. Oops, sorry, no, that's the erase head. The record head is right next to it. Right there, if I can stay steady. That's stationary. No, I'm sorry, that's adjustable. The stationary, I keep getting it backwards right now. I don't know why. The playback head is the one that is stationary. So as you're recording this, right, it's playing back with the stationary heads, and if that's how it determines whether or not the tape alignment for the the head alignment for the record head is not right for the tape path. Every tape's path is slightly different, you know. So that's how you get a good alignment and a good calibration with this deck. And this deck is a monstrous, recording deck, whereas a Nakamichi Dragon is more, in my opinion, more for like it's a monstrous playback deck. They're both good for both things, of course, but honestly, I think the way this is set up, because it's the record head that's adjustable, makes this one better for recordings, a slight edge. And of course, Nakamichi has a slight edge in playback because you can throw any tape at it, like pre-recorded tapes that may be slightly misaligned, and it will play it back perfectly because it will align as it plays. Whereas this deck won't be able to, you know. Still sounds good though. Anyways, I recorded a 10 kilohertz tone at negative 20 dB, and of course I calibrated the tape beforehand, so I know that this tape was aligned perfectly. And I recorded like maybe about 5 minutes worth of material onto the tape, in the middle of the tape, not at the beginning or at the end, but dead center of the tape. And again, the tone is generated by a computer program called Audacity. So it's a perfect sine wave tone. So back to this, you take that tape and you play it back, and I don't have a voltmeter or anything, but honestly, a millivolt meter. You're supposed to, I believe, tie it to mono. So, you know, like these are stereo outputs, so you have to have a stereo to mono converter. You know, basically ties the two channels together, and then you measure the voltage coming out of it, and you will adjust the heads as it's playing to get the highest level, you know, the highest voltage you can get. That's how you know that it is aligned. Now, short of that, and this is why it's rough, it's like rough calibration, you know, it's not as good as if you actually had tools. If you can use the VU meters here and try to get it to the highest as you can and relatively even, because, you know, you recorded it evenly over there. By the way, the tone that I generate is a monotone, so that it's recorded on both, you know, left and right channel. So the phase are correct as well together, and that's how you can try to get this the highest too. By the way, we don't know if this meter is accurate or not. Every deck is a little bit different on how they measure their scale. So even though I recorded at -20 dB, it may not be at -20 dB here. So, you know, you just your goal is to just to get it as high as possible. That's all. You know, the highest output that you can get. Honestly, if you want to make your life easier, which I tried doing as well, is just record it at a louder, what do you call a higher signal, not much more, but maybe just a little bit more. I did it up to like -10 on the Nakamichi, and then I came back here and I used it because, you know, you get to see it better, you know, more resolution hopefully. And that's how I was able to calibrate or adjust the azimuth, or calibrate the heads azimuth on here. Do it, of course, forward and reverse for deck A and deck B, and that's how I calibrated it. Now, I did do this with the old pinch rollers just to get a rough idea of how to do it. Now that I got the proper pinch rollers and the belts, and this is pretty much mechanically, this is all done. Actually, I might open this up just to add more grease to the mode changing wheels there. But after that, that's all done. I'm going to tie this all together, and then I will use my computer in that kind of impromptu calibration tape that I made to calibrate this. I'll calibrate the speed, and I'll calibrate the heads, adjust the azimuth, and I'm gonna call it a day. All right, guys, I'm done. I actually recalibrated it. Didn't want to do that on camera because it was just more fiddly, you know. But everything looks good. A wow and flutter has gone up. I guess these pinch rollers aren't exactly the most precision things compared to the factory stock ones, even when they are worn and hardened. So except for the little bump on the other one, it would have been nice to keep those, reuse them, but they're going out. There's no way I'm going to keep these in here. The wow and flutter is now around 0.1 RMS on both sides, back and forth, except for deck A. For deck A, it's wild on going forwards. It's like 0.0, it keep bounces between like 0.01 to like 0.018, almost nearly 0.2, and that's pretty bad. I really hope, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna let it play, you know, break it in basically is what I'm gonna try to do. Play some tapes back and forth, and same for that one. Maybe the wow and flutter will be better after a break-in period. I don't know how much better, especially since that pinch roller going forward in deck A is really that terrible. Worst case scenario, I'll swap the two. I'd rather going forwards, having the lower wow and flutter figures than going backwards. So, piece de la resistance. The actual cover. You guys didn't get this, never got to see me pull it off. So now you get to see me actually put the final touches. Oops. Yeah, I'm missing something, aren't I? It is not trying to get in. Interesting. Am I doing it wrong? Oh, that's the right way, isn't it? That's the right way. I think. Uh-oh, did I dented that in? It's not sitting flush, is what's happening. This end right here is not sitting in flush. Why is that? Always some challenges, isn't it? Jeez, I guess that's the best I can do. I wonder if it's because I wonder if it's because I've been plopping it down this way, and I've probably accidentally bent this by now, which really would suck, but there's not a whole, this thing isn't heavy, so there's no way. I don't know if I can show it to you on camera what it looks like, but once I get this in, you can see, I don't know if you guys can see, there's a small bit of gap between here and also a little bit here. Oh, well, I guess you can't win them all. All right, and the screws. Like I said in my very first video, you didn't see me pull this apart because you guys probably know how to do that already. Most of these components, they use side screws. 1, 2, 3, 4. And by the way, I know there are some stereo components that actually have screws in the back too. This one doesn't, surprisingly. This one just has the 4. Again, it feels relatively cheap, which is why I'm surprised Sony put an ES badge on this model number on this deck. It just doesn't make no sense. I mean, yes, it has Dolby S, and yes, it has an auto calibration feature, which still isn't as nice, I would think, as a manual one. I think, you know what? I think people in the 90s, I guess, people just, well, even now, it's all about convenience. So auto this and auto that is probably a good thing, but I don't know. Like I said, I'm the kind of lady who loves to do everything by myself. So here you go. So I drive a stick shift car, manual car, and I like to calibrate my tapes manually. Oh, did I do that? Or I don't recall if that was there before. I'm just gonna say that was there before. All right. it's back together. There's the deck A. I think you can see it now. It's a little bit crooked. Oh well, can't do anything about that. That's my OCD, seeing that. And I'm gonna plug it in. I'm gonna put a little empty box. That's an iPad box, just to prop it up a little bit. So, this tape has Dolby on it. Let's see how it sounds on the other side. Can't play too much of it because of copyright. I'll turn Dolby off. I wonder if it's still aligned correctly, but then again I'm using a Bluetooth speaker, so sounds good without it. At least they both sound equal. Alright, so which tells me that it is basically as aligned as I can get it, or at least aligned the same way on both forwards and backwards and then on both decks. Now maybe it sounds dull because, you know, the Dolby B's probably, this thing didn't have Dolby B, but I thought I did. I just recorded this. I typically record them with Dolby. It's a used tape, by the way. So, yeah, that's it. That concludes my repair. It's all good for now. I'm just going to leave it playing. By the way, I tested this feature out, relay. Put a 90-minute tape here, put a 90-minute tape there. Hit play here, it plays all the way, then it plays backwards, then it goes to this deck, plays forward, plays backwards, done, it stops. Which is really cool. So that's what I'm going to use to probably break it in. Just do the relay with 90-minute tapes. Alright, this concludes it for the Sony TC, oh, and I thought it was a TR. Sorry guys, I meant I should have seen it coming. It's a TC-WR701ES. That's how it looks like, fully put together. Gotta love that huge Dolby S sticker though. Usually you see that on their their last high-end cassette decks, which is why it kind of gave me a false impression of it being a high-end deck, but it's definitely has more features than your typical dual well deck. So, all right, catch you guys later. Bye.